So every year in Vienna, something pretty huge happens. The rules for the entire atomic age get debated and sometimes rewritten. It all goes down at the International Atomic Energy Agency's General Conference. This is the most important annual meeting for global nuclear policy. And today, we're going to take you right inside. So for a whole week, you've got delegates from all over the globe debating the rules for everything from nuclear power and cancer therapy to, non-proliferation and safety. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what's actually on the table right now at the IAEA, from their biggest milestones to some brand new challenges. Okay, so before they even get to what's next, the first thing they do at the conference is take a look back. And honestly, this past year has seen some major achievements that have really built up a powerful sense of momentum in the nuclear world. And you don't have to take my word for it. The agency's own annual report says it flat out. This is not business as usual. After years of debate, there's this real feeling that nuclear technology is at a serious turning point. A massive piece of this was the first ever Nuclear Energy Summit. Now, here's the key thing you need to know about this. It wasn't just ministers or experts showing up. We're talking heads of state. That's a huge deal. It turns what was a technical chat into a real global political statement. And these milestones aren't just about big global policy. The IAEA also hit a huge goal internally. They've reached 51.3% female representation in their professional and higher-level roles. I mean, they actually hit their 2025 gender parity target ahead of schedule, which for a big scientific organization, that's a really big win. But hey, it's not all celebrating and high fives. The agenda is also packed with some seriously complex and honestly pretty contentious issues. And there's maybe none more challenging than this thing called the AUKUS Security Pact between Australia, the UK, and the US. So China put in a request that's basically forced this really tough debate right onto the agenda. It all boils down to this. How can the agency's verification system, they call it safeguards, possibly apply to the nuclear material that's going to be used for military submarines? This is a problem the original treaty, the NPT, was just never built to handle. Okay, so let me break down why this is such a headache. Traditional safeguards, they were designed for places you can, visit. Stationary civilian facilities like power plants. But AUKUS? That's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about tracking weapons-usable nuclear material on submarines. These are mobile military assets that can just disappear underwater for months at a time. This is a totally new frontier for the IAEA, and right now nobody agrees on what the rules should even be. But while these big headline-grabbing debates like AUKUS get all the attention, they're really just a tiny fraction of what the agency actually does. The vast majority of their work is this massive day-in, day-out effort to keep nuclear stuff safe and secure all over the world. And this is really the operational heart of the IAEA. The agency is constantly sending out these teams of experts on peer review missions. Countries invite them in to help strengthen everything from the safety of a power plant in the Czech Republic to the rules and regulations in Thailand or even long-term planning down in South Africa. I mean, this just shows you the incredible breadth of what they do. It's so much more than just inspections. They're providing legal help to countries writing new nuclear laws. They're training hundreds and hundreds of experts on how safeguards actually work. And they're even building things like mobile apps to help their own officers out in the field. All right, so another huge part of this conference is about looking to the future, right? It's about charting the course for nuclear power, especially now when so many countries are desperately looking for ways to hit their climate goals and meet this ever-growing demand for energy. Okay, so coming out of big events like COP29 and that Nuclear Energy Summit, there's a really ambitious goal on the table now to nearly triple global nuclear capacity by 2050. We're talking going from around 377 gigawatts today to a potential 950. That is just a massive scale up. So you're probably wondering, how on earth is that even possible? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle relies on brand new technology, especially these things called small modular reactors, or SMRs. The whole idea here is that because they're smaller and can be built in a factory, you could deploy them way faster and more flexibly than the giant plants we're used to. It could be a total game changer. But of course, all that ambition costs money. And looking at the IAEA's budget really tells you a fascinating story about their priorities. The single biggest slice of the pie, over a third of it, goes to their watchdog role, that nuclear verification mission. The rest is split up between science, safety, and all the policy work. And this right here is the central tension that all the delegates at the conference are grappling with. On one hand, the demand for what the agency does is just exploding. There are more reactors to keep an eye on, more countries that need help, all this new technology to regulate. But on the other hand, its proposed core budget is set at zero nominal growth. Basically, that means it's staying flat. It doesn't even account for inflation. So that leaves this one big question just hanging over the entire conference. As the world demands more and more from nuclear technology and from its global watchdog, can the agency really power the future while its own resources are essentially frozen in time? That's the fundamental challenge that its 180 member states have to figure out.